It's about writing Black love with depth, desire, and healing. Today's guest is a woman whose pen dances between passion and purpose, whose words are a love letter to healing, and whose stories feel like familiar warmth. A.E. Valdez is an author who brings Black love into focus, not just the soft, steamy, and soul aching parts, but the journey to worthiness, self love, and emotional truth. From journaling in the fifth grade to crafting layered stories like All I Wanted, All I Needed, A Worthy Love, she redefines the contemporary Black romance space and how it should look and feel. Let's get into it. So, if you can introduce yourself and tell us the genre you write in and anything you want us to know before we get started.
I am A.E. Valdez. I write Black contemporary romance, and you summed up my writing perfectly with that intro. So,
Well, thank you. That's how I felt about it when I read your book. Um, let's start. A journal in fifth grade from a
yeah.
teacher sparked the flame. Can you take us back to that moment and how it evolved into your storytelling?
So my mom passed away in fifth grade, and my teacher came over to give me this like care basket type thing. It had a tie beanie baby monkey. I don't know if you remember tie beanie babies.
Mm-hmm.
It had like a full size tie beanie baby monkey and a journal. And I started writing in it that night, not knowing that that would help me process the grief of losing my mom.
Mm.
Yeah, and so that just rolled into journaling, poetry, and then writing stories.
So, let me ask you, what started the ebb and flow of love stories from your pen? Was it personal experience, something you saw or felt just deeply?
Um, I think it's a mixture of all of that. Uh, I've always felt deeply loved, unconditionally loved by my parents, by um, friends that I've had, by siblings. I've always felt that unconditional love.
Mm.
And I think that's really what sparked my interest in. And plus, I loved reading about romance. Like, I just love the chemistry, the push and pull. And I love that. And so that's what really drew me to romance.
Mm. Why contemporary romance? Is it the idea of love or the colors and complexities it paints across the page that drew you in?
Um, it's the idea of love, the complexities, the being able to dive deep into characters like thoughts and their processes.
Mm.
Because it's really interesting that, like in book one with Harlow and Asen and All I Wanted, All I Needed, to book two where we see Kyrell, people are like, oh, I didn't think Kyrell would be like that. And it's like, well, yeah, you're in his head now. So, like,
Mm.
now you know how he really is, because I don't think people really like, get that um, every character is different.
Yes.
Yeah, every character comes to me differently, and so while they may present in one way in one character's story, that doesn't mean they're going to be that way in their own story.
Mm.
Because everybody perceives us differently. Like, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm this, I'm that, and everybody that's close to me perceives me differently. So,
Mm. Your writing has a poetic rhythm. How does your poetic heart translate from stanzas to full blown novels? Is there a ritual or feeling you chase when you're writing?
um, yeah, I have to be kind of not always in a flow state, but I have to get into a flow state, because it's
Mm.
hard for me to it was really hard for me to go from, because I went from poetry
Mhm.
to technical writing for college. And then I was like, okay, I want to start writing novels, and then I realized, I was like, oh, that sounds really robotic. Like, let's try and make that more creative. So it's really just learning to listen to myself and let that flow onto the page.
Mm. The Rise and Fall series is like a Masterclass in emotional growth, acceptance of love, healing, and self worth. How did you navigate such emotional journeys while maintaining their authentic self?
Um, Honestly, I was in therapy. I still am. And I also like if I don't have personal experience with a topic, I try to talk to people who are willing to offer their experiences to me, so that way I do those experiences justice.
Mhm.
Because while it may not be my lived experience, it could be somebody else's lived experience, and I don't want to. Uh, I don't ever want to misrepresent that. Like I
Yeah.
know we all experience things differently, but I really want to make sure that at least I have the facts, the bones, and then I can go from there.
Yeah, I get that. When you wrote All I Wanted, All I Needed, what mindset were you in? Were you writing from a space of love or more so emotional release?
Both.
Mm.
Because at that time, um, I had just graduated college. I didn't know what to do with myself because, college takes up so much of your time. And you go from being immersed into that to essentially nothing. Like, I
Hmm.
knew that I knew I wanted to stay home with my kids and I didn't want to return to the workforce, but I didn't have a true outlet for that energy. And I was like, okay, well, maybe it's really time to focus on your writing and see what comes of that. And
Yeah.
so it was like I was on my own journey of self discovery at that point.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with
No.
that. So Harlow and how do you say his name?
Asen.
Asen. Harlow
Mm-hmm.
and Asen were both beautifully stubborn.
Yeah.
Real in how they carry past hurt. Why
Yeah.
was it important to portray guarded characters and how did you balance their growth arc?
Um, I think that when we meet people, we don't. Yes, we can be our authentic selves, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't always reveal things. We don't reveal more than what we're comfortable sharing. Most,
Mm.
at least that's how I am. And
Yeah.
so, it's like my dad used to be like, on Shrek. I don't know if you've seen Shrek and how he's like, oh, there's layers. I'm an onion. I have layers, and that's how I always think of it. Like I'm always like, okay, there's layers.
Mm.
Slowly discover this person. It's like unwrapping a gift. You just slowly uncover this person. And I try to remember that. Like, you don't know everything about someone
Yeah,
right from the moment you say hi. So
that is
it's
true.
this slow progression of like sinking into each other, becoming comfortable with one another.
Yeah, I like that. You infuse so much self love and realization into your characters. Why was that non negotiable for you?
Because I think before you can love others, you have to love yourself.
Mm.
Before other people can love you, you have to love yourself. I don't think that there's any way possible of being in like a good relationship without you loving yourself. I'm not saying that doesn't ever happen, but you flourish when you're loving yourself. Someone's loving you. You can pour into them, they can pour into you. Because sometimes, people, if they're not loving themselves, they may not even be ready to receive love. And so
Yeah,
you're pushing this person away subconsciously. And I just think it's very important to love yourself.
yeah. That's like the utmost importance for growth, at least,
Yeah.
and maturity.
Yes, for sure. Yes. Maturity for sure.
So your mailman character is a man who pours into Harlow.
Yes.
Um, is this how you often envision the men in your stories, nurturing without ego, present without pressure?
Yes. Yeah. Um, they do have egos. However, I try, they do seep into the relationships, but
Mm.
I try to not let it be their driving force. Like, I try
Mm.
not to let that be um, the thing that comes between them and the female main character, you know?
Yeah.
And but I want them to still be able to be soft with them. Just like the women are able to be soft with them, I want the men to be able to be soft with the women too.
Yeah, I like that. I like it when a man can pour into a woman and know his own self worth.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
So
So,
important.
a worthy love
Yes.
was deeply layered.
Yes.
Asher and Marissa, am I saying that right?
Yes. Correct.
Start was from friendship and built towards a soul deep kind of love.
Yes.
Um, why was it important to move in stages like that? And what does worthy love mean to you?
For me, it was important to move into stages like that because Asher and Marissa weren't really in a place to even admit that they liked each other, let alone
Yeah.
let alone be like, hey, let's be in a relationship, even though we don't really like each other. Like, you know, they're both very what is the word? Spontaneous people. They're both
Mm.
spontaneous. They both just kind of live life with like the flow of life and everything. And so, you know, and I think that a worthy love to me just means that you can be fully naked, take your armor off, take everything off, and
Mm.
that person is still gonna love you. They
Mm.
can see you at your worst. And that does not mean that they mistreat you or anything like that. It just means that they can see you on those terrible days and still love you, and you can see them on their terrible days and they'll still
Mm.
love you back. And
Mm.
it's like the choice of choosing to love each other
Mm.
every day.
Yeah, yeah. Your steamy scenes. Your steamy scenes are the icing, but the soul deep love is the main course. Why do you think your characters give that Love Jones energy?
Oh, because I think that you need to have some, so at least in my mind, you need to have
Mhm.
some sort of like friendship,
Mm.
right? You need to have something to build on. Even though, like in some books, like Colliding with Fate, you know, it's a friends with benefit situation, but they're still friends.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They share like intimate moments with each other, intimate details of each other's lives that they wouldn't share with other people.
Mm.
So I just think that's important. And then, you know, like you said, the sex is just a plus.
Yeah, yeah. So, what's your approach to writing intimacy that doesn't feel forced but feels necessary to the love journey?
There have been times where I've written a scene and like a steamy scene, and I'm like, okay, this doesn't fit here. I'll go back and read it, and I'm like, this just doesn't fit. It
Mm.
has to have like a natural flow to it. I don't insert. I'm not like, okay, there needs to be a steamy scene here. Like
Mm.
I don't say that. I'm just like, okay, this would be like this feels like this would be right here. But
Mm.
I have it in my mind, and sometimes it goes the way that I think it will, and other times I'm like, oh, okay, we're going a different direction. You know,
Mm.
the characters take me in a different direction.
Yeah. So, what is your approach to audiobooks? Because your books are laced in emotional love and emotional situations that you can read the pages and be like, oh my God. But hearing it,
Yeah.
it's a different level. So, what's your approach to audiobooks? And someone asked, will there be audiobooks in the future for the rest of the King series?
Yes, to that question. Eventually, the first one comes out June 17th, so that's like next week, right? Yeah. Um, but for the audiobooks, I wasn't really thinking about them because audiobooks are extremely expensive
Mhm.
to produce.
Mhm.
It's just this whole big production, and an audio production company reached out to me and they were like, hey, you know, we want to put your books into audio. It's like,
Mhm.
great, that sounds awesome
Yeah.
because it is entirely different, like reading it on the page, as you said, and then hearing it come to life.
Mhm.
It's so it's surreal for me, especially because they're my books. But
Mhm.
it's surreal to hear the characters that have just been living in my head come to life.
Mm. Mm. In the Snowden with the billionaire, Noelle and Snow.
Yes.
They are grieving relationships, but finding each other in an unexpected way. Pepper spray. Um, why did you opt for a not so meet cute, and what did it allow you to explore in their story?
Um, the pepper spray came in because I just thought it'd be funny. And but it also allowed, they go, well, Snow goes from really like despising her
Mm-hmm.
to realizing that she's just Noelle's just kind of this ball of light, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it kind of forced him to let his walls down because he's very icy, like no pun intended, but he was very icy. He was not like willing to open up to anyone, but then he's stuck with this woman who's so joyful, and he feels bad not opening up to her because she's a good person. So
Mm-hmm.
even though she pepper sprayed him, he still was like, what, she's not a bad person. And he even thinks, if that were me, I probably would have done worse if I didn't know who was in my cabin. So yeah, I just thought
That
it'd
was
be a fun
wild.
icebreaker.
That was wild. That was wild. Do you feel your books give us that black hallmark feel, familiar, comforting, but deeply reflective of us?
Yeah, I've heard them described as Hallmark with spice, which kind of cracks me up. They're like Hallmark with spice, Hallmark with like out the super cheesiness, like,
Mm.
but I'm okay with that. I just want there to be. My only hope is like people pick up my books and see themselves at somewhere in the pages, somewhere in between the sentences, they see themselves. So,
Yeah. So, what does black love feel like, taste like, sound like in your words through your stories?
oh man, 5 cents feels like being drenched in love. Um, the taste would be just savory,
Mm.
and I just want it to be something like seen as beautiful because it is beautiful, flaws and all,
Yeah,
beautiful. Nobody's perfect, but they find the perfection in each other, and that's what I feel is important.
I love that. What was your original goal when you first began writing romance centered in blackness?
Um, just to tell stories.
Mm.
That was really it. I just wanted to tell stories. I didn't know if anybody would read them. I
Mhm.
didn't like set out on this crusade for money. It was just like I have these stories living rent free in my head. I want
Mhm.
to share them with other people. Hopefully they like them. If they do, amazing. And then it's turned into this, and I'm eternally grateful. But
Mhm.
Black love stories are a reflection of what I know, of what I live every day.
Mhm.
So it just felt fitting.
Yeah. Are there stereotypes or limiting perceptions you try to break in your stories about black love and identity?
I think one of the biggest ones that especially is always a hot debate across all social media things is the struggle love, like all
Mm.
black love being seen as struggle love. And even if there's just two black characters on the cover, people immediately think, oh, is this struggle love? And it's like, hey, what is that? Because what is
It's
that?
a it's a
Like,
fictional thing, just like a fictional story.
yes, it's just this made up hot term to basically take away the beauty of black love. And you know, I just don't. I want my stories to be a reflection of the beauty that we live every day as black people,
Mm.
and that there is no such thing as struggle love. There is no such thing as like, I've even had people ask me that in comments, like, "Oh, does this have struggle love? Is this urban fiction? Is this?" And I'm like, I don't respond. I've learned not to respond to them because I'm just like, how do I even how do I respond to these
How can you respond to
questions?
something
Yeah,
like
it's
that?
just crazy questions, crazy question.
Wow.
But I don't know that there's any. I don't think that there's any stereotypes that I actively try to avoid. I think
Mhm.
that one of the things that is synonymous through all of my books is they're all well off. I really have a thing for like billionaires, millionaires.
Mm,
I just don't want money to be a factor in what I'm
yeah,
writing.
yeah.
So I want, maybe somebody may have like, I can't afford this or that, but it's not like I'm down and out and like living on the street or something like
Mhm.
that.
Lord, if you had the mic in front of you
Hmm.
and you are in front of traditional publishing gatekeepers, what would be your elevator pitch? What would your elevator pitch be to open more doors for Black contemporary romance authors?
Black contemporary romance would not be what it is without indie authors.
Mm,
It would not be what it is without indie authors. And I wish that they understood that. I've been
mhm,
listening to friends who have gone from indie to trad and the struggles that they still face, even though they have more than proven themselves as
mhm,
indie authors, but they're still having to reach hurdles that their white counterparts are not having to reach. And
mm.
so it's like, I just want them to know that the black romance genre would not be what it is without black romance authors.
That's what makes a love story truly about love and not trauma bonding. How do you define that difference?
Trauma bonding, like if my characters are experiencing like trauma or trying to figure themselves out, they're figuring that out on their own. They're
Hmm.
not dragging each other into figuring it out. They're not making the other person carry their problems.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's why my stories are based on love and not just trauma bonding. Because even though they've experienced trauma, I try not to make it about that.
Yeah.
Like, I try to make it about their love story and then them on their journey of self discovery.
Mm. You do that well. You do that well.
Thank you.
You do that well. So, what does longevity look like to you? Can success equate to longevity, or do you see them as different lanes?
Um, I've really learned that I define my own success. Like what I see successful, it may not be successful to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I feel pretty successful in my current state. However, I know that there's way more room for growth and stuff. And longevity, I've had to learn to pace myself
Mm-hmm.
and I've had to learn to say no and take care of
Mm-hmm.
myself. And those are really hard things to do. um,
You
I've
preaching
had
to
to,
the choir, sister.
yes. And I've been trying to learn that like it's okay to change my mind. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
say yes to something, but I'm on like I can feel myself on the edge of burnout, I have to pull out because I can't push myself. Like yes, this is a great opportunity, but also recognizing that more opportunities will come. If I keep doing the work, more opportunities will come, but I have to take care of
Mm-hmm.
myself to have that longevity and success.
Totally understand that. As a Black woman writing contemporary romance, what unique challenges or joys do you face in this space?
Um, I think it's that like I went to this uh, event in Seattle, and it was like people aren't really willing to take a chance on black authors as they are on white authors. Like they will
Right.
buy their books up unless it's like an event that I'm going to that's specifically for like black romance or just black authors in general. But at in those other spaces, it's like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like that. You get the whole like struggle love commentary. You just get this doubt, and it's funny when I see that, but then they'll circle back around and they'll be like, oh, I think I'll try it, and then they DM me on Instagram and they're like, I love this book. It was so amazing, and it's like just open up your mind just a little bit. Just, try something new. Like, don't be just, we're people too. We're people too.
Yeah, I always said, even in the black community, I say you have to diversify your palette
Yes.
because a lot of people always say, I'm in a book slump or I can't find a book like such and such book.
Right.
Diversify your palette.
Yes. That is so important. Usually you are in a book slump because you need something new than what you've been reading over and over and over again. So,
Facts. Facts. What advice would you give to other black authors just starting out in this genre?
um, keep going. You can't publish a book without having written it, so make sure that you're writing.
Hmm.
Um, don't be afraid to write what is in your heart. You don't have to write to trend. I don't. Half of the books that I've written probably wouldn't have made it in traditional publishing just simply because of their length and the way that I write. But you can still find your own success. You'll find your readers, but you got to write first.
Hey, that's the word right there. What message do you want your readers to walk away with after closing one of your books?
To love yourself, to
Mm.
be careful with yourself, to pour into people who pour into you. Um, you don't have to give your energy to people who aren't even willing to share a drop of their energy with you. You don't have to beg to be included. Because if you have to beg, you're not. That's not where you're supposed to be.
Facts, facts, facts. So, what's next in your author journey? Are you working on a new book, series, spinoff, or exploring new genres?
I'm working on an entirely new book that has nothing to do with the Rise or Fall or the Three Kings. And it's been really refreshing. I think I needed that because I just finished the Three Kings series back in February.
Hmm.
And so coming off writing like a 700-page book
Mm.
for a year and a half, I was like, I need something entirely different. So it's been fun. I'm barely getting back into writing, so that's nice.
It's contemporary romance.
Yes,
Okay.
contemporary.
Are there any upcoming book events, signings, or tours we should be knowing about?
Yes, so I'm going to be at Behind the Pen in New York City. That's in August. And then I'll also be at Steamy Lit in California, in Anaheim.
I've always wanted to go to Stimulate. I just never had the well, I have, but I just ain't had the time.
I know.
Time. My ass is busy all the time.
Yes,
So, where
yes.
can readers find your book and support you? And what does support look like for you as an author? What does support from a reader, support from the book community look like to you?
Support comes in so many forms. It doesn't have to just be like reading the book and, leaving a review. Well, that's much appreciated, but it's just the community. I feel like I have an amazing, beautiful community of readers, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah,
Uh, and that alone, like just knowing I have people in my corner, is all the support I need to
I
keep
like that.
going.
So, what are your social media handles, newsletter sign up info, and do you have a Facebook reading group? We can
I
do it.
do. Yeah, I do have a Facebook reading group. I think it's linked where, everything else is.
Hmm.
It's called AE's Aces. And I'm very active in there. I'm always just writing like little random thoughts. I post in there pretty much every day. I'm on Instagram and TikTok, Threads, all under A.E, Valdez writes. And yeah, and I have a newsletter too. I have a newsletter too. Yes, that I share. Usually, if I have like a book box, a giveaway, a collaboration, that's where I share that information first, is on my newsletter.
Okay. So, I'm going to do my outro, but I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being in this space. Thank you for the romance that you give us. Thank you for the different layers of the journey. We definitely appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And so A.E. Valdez reminds us that love, black love, is soft, spicy, poetic, and whole. Her stories don't just offer swoon-worthy romance, but allows us to feel seen in our healing, in our complexity, and in our joy. Whether you're picking up one of her billionaires or following the rise and fall of hearts learning to open again, there's truth in every page. Keep writing,
Thank
keep
you.
loving, and thank you for pouring into us.
Thank you.
Um, Stay loved, stay loud, and stay black on purpose.
Yes, every day.
All right. I don't want you to stay here for this housekeeping because that's a lot of notices I got to do.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you so much. I hope I get to see you in person one day.
Yes. Okay. Hold on. So you do boozy book tours,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna be in Seattle next year, right?
No, we canceled that because we are doing a all black fantasy, paranormal, sci-fi, and horror event. It's called the Haunted Mansion uh Fantasy Masquerade Ball. It's a 4-day event. It's going to be in Savannah, Georgia. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, that'll be fun. I was gonna say I'll probably see you in Seattle. I don't know about that one, but I'll probably see you in Seattle. I might try to come because like next year I'm actually taking like just a break from events, so
Mhm.
I'm gonna be traveling, which will be nice.
It's going to be about 75 different authors from those genres. Um, it might be because they have a bet going on that it's either going to be between 100, 200. I said what I said, people. 115 tickets. That's it. But they
That's
have
still
a
a good turnout though.
it, and I just want to give those authors in those genres because people put black authors in those genres as niche,
Yeah,
and I don't like that.
yeah,
And I just want to, me and my business partner Shannon, we just want to pour into
yeah,
them the way they pour into us.
yeah.
So, we're just gonna make it a big event at the Andes Savannah Hyatt, and just 4 days of constant stuff happening.
That's nice. That sounds like a really fun event. Do you have to like is a ticket for all 4 days or do you have to buy tickets for separate experience?
Um, the
Or
VIP tickets are for all 4 days.
okay.
And that includes all access to everything.
Okay.
And then the general admission is just for the book signing
Oh, okay. And what
because
day is it
that
over one day
is
for the book signing or is it over multiple days?
it. Hold on, let me look. It is October 28th through the 31st. The book signing is on the 29th. No, I mean,
Okay.
no, on the 30th. That's the book signing, and that's the book signing. That's vendor fantasy vendor alley, which will have like vendors that write comic books, do
Oh,
graphic art or graphic novels. It will be food people. It will be tarot readers. It'll be henna tattoo artists. It's gonna be like it's gonna be a whole magical fantasy thing.
yeah. Cool. That sounds fun. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'll have
so
I'll look on you have a website, right? I'm
yeah,
assuming.
yeah, yeah. It's boozybooktour.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go look it up and see about my travel plans for next year.
No, it's in 2027.
Oh, it's in 2020. Oh,
It's
then there's
2020,
no excuse.
2027. It's a lot. It's so much going into it. It's gonna take us a while to get it all
Yeah,
realistically done. So,
yeah.
it's all gonna happen in 2027, and it's all black. It's all black fantasy, all black horror, all black sci-fi, all black paranormal.
Amazing. There are so many amazing Black creators, authors in that space.
Yeah, we even have an author flying from England coming to the event.
Oh, can I ask who it is? Or
It's Lachey McCoy.
oh, okay, 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 okay.
Yeah, she's coming from England. Then Kenya writes. She writes paranormal as
Yeah.
well, and she's coming from Asia.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's awesome.
it's gonna be traditionally and indie. So yeah,
That's really exciting.
yeah.
I have to go now because that actually sounds really cool. I was like, oh, it's next year. year, but 2027, I could do that.
Yeah, we're doing it ahead of time. Tickets go on sale January 2nd. So
Oh, nice. Okay.
yes, we just trying to get all these wrangle the authors together because we only have 75 spots, and
Oh,
the outpouring of support from those communities has been a lot. So we're trying to get as many people as we can, but it's only 75 slots.
yeah. Have you filled all the slots yet, or are you still looking for people?
We are still looking for people. The application goes out November 2025 this year. So in November, the authors applications go out, and they're open up, and first come first serve.
Okay. All right. I'll let the couple of people that I'm thinking of off top, I'll let them know that your applications will be opening up. That's really exciting.
Author Shelly P. There is no more spots for the Boozy Book Tour Chicago. You can keep asking, it's not gonna happen. We ain't got enough space for another author. But yeah, it's and I'm happy because horror is one of those things that don't get recognized by Black authors.
No.
So we've already sent out to a lot of the traditionally published and indie
Right.
horror people, and we're still looking for more. So
Yeah.
we can put a lot of the Black horror in there because I'm going to go harass Brandon Massey when I interview him in Detroit. So I'm going to harass him to be a part of this.
I hope that he goes.
I hope so too. It's 2027. Y'all got
I
notice.
know. There's more than enough time. There is more than enough time.
Is because we want publishing houses that have horror, publishing houses that have indie or traditional, that have horror, paranormal, sci-fi, and
Right.
fantasy. We just bring it on.
Okay. I'm gonna tell a couple of people about this because that's really exciting. That would be the first Black horror event, right?
Yeah, first Black fantasy, first Black horror. But there's another one. Jess Turn Pages. She sprays book pages. She does a
I know
really
who you're
good job.
talking about. Yeah.
She's having Faye in the A. So she's doing a fantasy and sci-fi thing in Atlanta for winter solstice next year.
Oh, okay.
But we've been, all of us communicate, and it's just like, where's the events for those Black authors?
Yes.
So, and those Black readers. So this is, but with the Boozy Book Tour, it's gonna be different cities. Hopefully, we'll get to Louisiana one day.
Yeah.
Do New Orleans vampire type thing.
Amazing. Yes. Yeah. I was just there last year for Essence Fest and we had a good time.
I love New Orleans. I love it. But I'm gonna let you go so I can get this
Okay.
housekeeping done. But once again, thank you so much. I appreciate you for taking the time to speak to me.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.